A black man in a simple t-shirt and jeans walked through airport security. The TSA agent took one look at him and pulled him out of line. "Sir, step aside for additional screening," she said loudly. Other passengers stared. Some whispered what that agent didn't know. The man she just humiliated was Marcus Williams, billionaire CEO and owner of SkyWest Airlines, the very airline she was securing passengers for. And he wasn't alone. His wife, Jennifer, was right behind him. A successful real estate mogul who the same agent would soon meet in the most unexpected way. In the next 30 minutes, that TSA agent's world would completely collapse. Because Marcus didn't just own the airline. His wife owned the mansion the agent had just bought. And both of them were about to teach her a lesson about respect she'd never forget. Before we dive into this incredible story, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss more stories about justice, karma, and people getting exactly what they deserve. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now let's see what happened. Who is Marcus Williams? Marcus Williams was 45 years old and worth $2.8 billion. He grew up in Detroit, in a neighborhood where success stories were rare. His mother worked as a nurse, his father as a mechanic. They taught him two things: work hard and treat everyone with respect. Marcus went to college on a scholarship, studied business and aviation, and at 28 he started a small charter flight company with one plane. 20 years later, he owned SkyWest Airlines, a major regional carrier with 180 planes and routes across America. Despite his wealth, Marcus still dressed simply. He believed expensive clothes didn't make you better than anyone else. Today, he wore a Michigan State t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. He was flying home from visiting his elderly aunt in Cleveland. Who is Jennifer Williams? Jennifer Williams, 42, was Marcus's wife and a powerhouse in her own right. She owned Diamond Realty, a luxury real estate company specializing in high-end properties. She bought, renovated, and sold mansions to wealthy clients across the Midwest. Jennifer had just closed on a beautiful estate in suburban Chicago, a 12,000-square-foot mansion she planned to renovate and sell. The previous owner needed to sell quickly due to financial problems. Jennifer got it for a great price. Like her husband, Jennifer didn't flaunt her wealth. Today, she wore a simple dress and carried a regular handbag. They both believed in humility and treating service workers with kindness. The TSA agent. Rebecca Morrison was 38 years old and had worked for TSA for 7 years. She made $45,000 a year and struggled with bills. Recently, she'd gotten a small inheritance from a distant uncle, $150,000. She used it as a down payment on her dream house, a modest home she thought was a mansion. But Rebecca had a problem. She made assumptions about people based on how they looked. When she saw black travelers, especially those dressed casually, she often pulled them aside for random, additional screening. She'd done it dozens of times without consequence. Today would be different. Why this day mattered: it was 2 p.m. at Chicago O'Hare International Airport, Terminal 3. Marcus and Jennifer were flying home to Detroit on SkyWest Airlines, Marcus's own airline, though he rarely announced that fact. The security line was long. Business travelers in suits moved through quickly. But when Marcus approached in his casual clothes, Rebecca's eyes narrowed. She had already let 5 white passengers through without extra screening. But Marcus. She pulled him aside immediately. "Sir, step out of line," Rebecca said loudly, pointing to a separate screening area. "Random additional screening." Marcus looked confused. "Random. I haven't even gone through the metal detector yet." "Sir, it's procedure. Please step aside." Rebecca's tone was cold and commanding. Jennifer, standing behind Marcus, spoke up. "Excuse me, but you just let 5 people through without additional screening. Why is my husband being singled out?" Rebecca turned to Jennifer, her expression changing when she saw Jennifer's neat appearance and wedding ring. "Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. Your husband is being selected for random screening." "It's not random if you're only selecting him," Jennifer said firmly. Other passengers were watching now. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed to agree with Rebecca. Marcus put his hand on Jennifer's arm. "It's okay, honey. I'll do the screening." He had dealt with this before. As a black man, even a billionaire, he wasn't immune to profiling. Rebecca led Marcus to a separate area with glass walls. Everyone in the security line could see him being searched. The additional screening was thorough and deliberately humiliating. Rebecca had Marcus remove his shoes, belt, and empty every pocket. She swabbed his hands for explosives. She opened his carry-on bag and went through every item slowly. "What's this?" she asked, holding up his laptop. It's a laptop, Marcus said calmly. I need to inspect it. She turned it on, looking through his files. Other TSA agents watched, looking uncomfortable. This was excessive. Jennifer stood at the edge of the screening area, recording on her phone. This is profiling, she said clearly. You've been targeting my husband because of his race. Rebecca spun toward her. Ma'am, put that phone away or you'll be detained for interfering with a security checkpoint. A TSA supervisor, a man named Tom Jenkins, walked over. Rebecca, what's going on? Random screening, Rebecca said quickly. This gentleman was selected. Tom looked at Marcus, then at the line of passengers who'd gone through without screening. He'd worked with Rebecca before and had suspicions about her methods. Rebecca, this seems excessive. Let him through. I'm not finished, Rebecca insisted. I still need to check his bag thoroughly. She pulled out Marcus's blazer, an expensive jacket he'd packed. This looks suspicious. Why is someone dressed like you carrying a $2,000 jacket? The insult hung in the air. Several passengers gasped. Jennifer's face turned red with anger. Marcus stayed calm. Because I own it. Is that a crime? Rebecca continued her search, clearly trying to find something, anything to justify her actions. She pulled out Marcus's wallet and opened it. Inside were several credit cards, cash, and a business card. Rebecca read the business card aloud, mockingly. Marcus Williams, CEO, SkyWest Airlines, she laughed. Sure you are, and I'm the Queen of England. She held the card up for other agents to see, smirking. This guy's carrying a fake business card pretending to be an airline CEO. Tom Jenkins stepped closer. Rebecca, give me that card. Tom looked at the card, then at Marcus, then back at the card. His face went pale. Oh my God. What? Rebecca said, still smirking. Tom pulled out his phone and quickly Googled Marcus Williams, SkyWest Airlines. A photo appeared, the same man standing in front of them. Tom showed Rebecca the screen. Rebecca's smirk disappeared. Her face went from confident to confused to terrified in 3 seconds. This is Marcus Williams, Tom said quietly. He actually is the CEO of SkyWest Airlines. He owns this airline. The airline we're providing security for. The airline that pays TSA fees that help pay our salaries. Rebecca's hands started shaking. The business card fell from her fingers. Marcus spoke quietly, his voice calm but firm. Tom, I'd like to speak to your supervisor, and I want a copy of all security footage from the last 30 minutes. My lawyer will be contacting TSA headquarters. But the story wasn't over. Because Jennifer had just received a notification on her phone, a notification that would make this situation even worse for Rebecca. Tom immediately called the TSA director for O'Hare, a woman named Patricia Hayes. She arrived within 5 minutes, her face serious. Mr. Williams, I am so deeply sorry, Patricia began. This behavior is absolutely unacceptable. Marcus nodded. This isn't the first time I've been profiled, but it is the first time someone questioned whether I actually own my own company. Your agent here, he gestured to Rebecca, conducted what was clearly racial profiling. She pulled me out while letting others through. She mocked my business card. She implied I was lying about my identity. Patricia turned to Rebecca. Is this true? Rebecca's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Tom stepped forward. Director Hayes, I witnessed the entire incident. Mr. Williams was singled out without justification. The screening was excessive and inappropriate. And yes, she mocked his business card, suggesting it was fake. Patricia's expression hardened. Rebecca Morrison, you're suspended immediately pending a full investigation. Give me your badge. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. But I was just doing my job. No, Patricia interrupted. You were profiling. We'll be reviewing your screening history for the past year. If we find a pattern, you'll be terminated. Marcus spoke again. I want to be clear. This isn't about one bad agent. This is about a system that allows this to happen repeatedly. How many other black travelers has she done this to? People who don't have the resources to fight back. While Patricia was dealing with Rebecca, Jennifer's phone buzzed again. She looked at the notification and her eyes went wide. Marcus, come here, she said quietly. Marcus walked over. Jennifer showed him her phone. It was an email from her property manager at Diamond Realty. Subject, new tenant for 42 Maple Street property. Jennifer scrolled through the email. Then she showed Marcus the attached rental application and photo. It was Rebecca Morrison. The mansion Rebecca had bought with her inheritance, it wasn't a mansion at all. It was a small house that Jennifer's company owned. Rebecca was renting it, not buying it. She'd put her down payment into what she thought was a purchase, but the crooked real estate agent she'd worked with had actually set up a long-term lease with option to buy. And Jennifer Williams, the woman whose husband Rebecca just humiliated, was her landlord. Jennifer walked over to where Patricia was still talking to Rebecca. "Excuse me, Rebecca Morrison?" Rebecca turned, confused. "Yes, I'm Jennifer Williams, Marcus's wife. I'm also the owner of Diamond Realty." She held up her phone. "You recently put down $150,000 on 42 Maple Street, correct?" Rebecca's confusion turned to dread. "How do you know that?" "Because my company owns that property. You're not buying it, you're renting it with an option to buy. Your real estate agent was less than honest with you. And as of this moment, I'm terminating your lease agreement." Rebecca went completely white. "You can't do that. I put all my money into that house." "I can and I will," Jennifer said firmly. "The lease agreement has a clause about character and conduct. Discrimination and racism violate that clause. You have 30 days to vacate." Patricia Hayes looked at Rebecca with disgust. "You lied on your rental application, too. It says here you work in airport security management. You're not in management, you're a TSA agent." Rebecca was crying now. "Please, I made a mistake. I have nowhere to go." "You made many mistakes," Marcus said. "The mistake of judging me by my skin color. The mistake of assuming I couldn't possibly be successful. The mistake of humiliating me in front of dozens of people. And now you're facing the consequences." Jennifer added, "I've already contacted the real estate agent who set up your purchase. He's been scamming people with fake sale agreements. You're actually one of his victims. But that doesn't excuse what you did to my husband." A crowd had gathered, airport security, other TSA agents, passengers who had witnessed the original screening. Several people were recording on their phones. One passenger, an older white man, spoke up. "I saw the whole thing. That agent pulled him out for no reason. She let me and 4 other people through without extra screening. This was definitely profiling." Another passenger, a black woman, added, "She's done this to me before. Last year, same agent, same excessive screening. I didn't say anything because I thought no one would believe me." Patricia took notes of everything. "Mr. Williams, Mrs. Williams, TSA will conduct a full investigation. Any passengers who witnessed this, please leave your contact information. Your statements will be included in the report." Marcus looked at Rebecca one final time. "You know what hurts most? I've dealt with this my entire life. When I was building my company, banks wouldn't give me loans because they assumed a young black man couldn't run an airline. When I wore suits to meetings, people assumed I was the driver, not the CEO. I built SkyWest to create opportunities for people like me. Half my pilots are minorities, a third are women. I created a company based on the idea that talent and character matter more than appearance. And then I walk through security at my own airline, and I'm treated like a criminal because of how I look." Rebecca sobbed. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix the humiliation," Jennifer said. "Sorry doesn't undo the assumption that we couldn't possibly be who we are. Sorry doesn't help the countless other people you've done this to." Patricia Hayes took control. "Mr. Williams, Mrs. Williams, on behalf of TSA, I apologize. This agent will be terminated. We'll review her entire screening history and contact anyone who may have been similarly profiled. And we'll implement additional anti-discrimination training for all agents at O'Hare." Marcus nodded. "I'll be following up to ensure those changes actually happen. And I'll be working with civil rights organizations to monitor TSA practices nationwide." He and Jennifer gathered their belongings. As they walked toward their gate, passengers applauded. Some came up to shake Marcus's hand. Others thanked him for standing up. Rebecca was escorted away by airport security, her badge gone, her job gone, and her home soon to be gone. The video of the incident went viral within hours. Multiple passengers had recorded Rebecca's mocking of Marcus's business card, and the moment when she realized who he actually was. Hashtags #SkyWest CEO and #airport profiling trended nationwide. News outlets picked up the story. CNN, NBC, and ABC all ran segments. Rebecca Morrison was officially terminated from TSA 3 days later. The investigation found she had disproportionately screened Black and Latino passengers over a 3-year period. Over 50 complaints were filed retroactively by passengers who saw the news story and realized they'd been profiled by the same agent. Her attempt to sue Jennifer Williams for eviction failed. The judge ruled that the character clause in her lease was valid and that racial discrimination qualified as a breach. Rebecca lost her $150,000 deposit due to the fraudulent real estate agent, who disappeared before authorities could arrest him. Within 2 weeks, Rebecca had to move back in with her parents in Indiana. Her name became synonymous with airport racial profiling. She couldn't find another security job anywhere. Marcus Williams held a press conference 1 week after the incident. "What happened to me happens to Black Americans every day," he said. "In airports, in stores, in banks, in their own neighborhoods. The only difference is that I have the resources and platform to fight back. Most people don't." He announced a $10 million fund to help victims of TSA profiling file complaints and lawsuits. SkyWest Airlines also implemented its own anti-discrimination training program, which became a model for other airlines. Jennifer Williams tracked down the 12 people Rebecca had scammed with fake house purchases. Through her real estate company, she helped them recover some of their money and find legitimate housing. She also lobbied for stronger regulations against predatory real estate practices. The Williams couple used their platform to push for systemic change. They met with TSA leadership, congressional representatives, and civil rights organizations. The story sparked a national conversation about racial profiling in airport security. Studies showed that Black passengers were 2.5 times more likely to be selected for additional screening than white passengers, even when controlling for all other factors. TSA implemented new policies. Random screening had to be truly random. With computer-generated selection, agents couldn't override the system without supervisor approval. All screenings were reviewed for patterns of discrimination, quarterly audits checked for racial disparities 3 months after the incident. TSA reported a 60% decrease in complaints about discriminatory screening at O'Hare. Other airports adopted similar reforms. Passengers who had been too afraid to complain before started coming forward. Rebecca's case opened the door for accountability. But the story also revealed the vulnerability of ordinary people to scams. Rebecca had lost her life savings to a fraudulent real estate scheme. While her actions were inexcusable, she was also a victim in her own way. Jennifer Williams used this as a teaching moment. She created a free educational program about how to avoid real estate scams, which helped thousands of people protect themselves. 6 months later, a reporter interviewed Marcus and Jennifer at their home in Detroit. "Do you regret how you handled the situation?" the reporter asked. Marcus shook his head. "No, I regret that it happened at all, but once it happened, we had to stand up. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone who's been through this and couldn't fight back. Some people say you were too harsh on Rebecca Morrison. She lost her job and her home." Jennifer responded. "She didn't lose her home. She never actually owned it. She was scammed, which is unfortunate. But her actions toward my husband were deliberate. She chose to profile him. She chose to humiliate him. She chose to mock his identity. Actions have consequences." "What would you say to Rebecca if you saw her today?" the reporter asked. Marcus thought for a moment. "I'd say I hope she learned something. I hope she understands that the way you treat people matters. That assumptions based on race are not just wrong, they're destructive. And that you never know who you're talking to, but more importantly, you should treat everyone with respect regardless of who they are." The reporter turned to Jennifer. "And what would you say?" "I'd tell her that real wealth isn't about the house you live in or the job you have. It's about your character. My husband and I have money, yes. But our real wealth is in how we treat others, how we lift up our community, and how we use our platform to create change. That's something no one can take away from us." The story of Marcus Williams and Rebecca Morrison became a case study in business schools and law schools across the country. It illustrated several principles about assumptions. Never judge people by their appearance. The person in simple clothes might be a billionaire. The young person might be your future boss. The quiet person might be the most powerful person in the room. About power. True power isn't about putting others down. It's about lifting people up and using your position to create positive change. Marcus and Jennifer didn't just punish one agent, they changed an entire system. About consequences. Every action has a consequence. Rebecca's moment of profiling cost her everything. But it also sparked a movement that protected countless other passengers from similar treatment. About character. Marcus and Jennifer could have used their wealth to humiliate Rebecca privately. Instead, they used the public incident to create systemic change. That's the difference between revenge and justice. About respect. Respect isn't earned by what you own or where you work. It's given because every human being deserves dignity. Marcus treated Rebecca with more respect in her moment of exposure than she'd treated him in his moment of vulnerability. A year after the incident, Marcus Williams was invited to speak at a TSA conference about diversity and inclusion. He told the assembled agents, "I don't share my story to make you feel bad. I share it so you'll think twice before making assumptions. That passenger you're screening, they might be someone's parent, someone's child, someone's hero. They might be a teacher, a doctor, a veteran, a CEO, or just a person trying to get home. Treat them with dignity not because of who they might be, but because of who you are. Your job is to keep people safe, but safety and respect aren't mutually exclusive. You can do both." The agent who profiled me lost everything because she forgot this simple truth. Character matters more than credentials. How you treat people when you have power over them shows who you really are. The room was silent. Then one by one the agents stood and applauded. If this story moved you, hit that like button right now and subscribe to our channel. We share real stories about justice, respect, and karma. Drop a comment and tell us, have you ever been judged by your appearance? How did you handle it? Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss when someone learns that respect matters more than assumptions. Thanks for watching, and remember, never judge a book by its cover because that book might just own the whole library. See you in the next story.